Yeah, I think you're muted. Yeah, Dr. Peabody, I think you're
All right,
muted.
guys. You
All
guys
right.
are on that. I will
Okay.
join you guys later.
Yep.
Take it
All
from
right.
there, man. Okay.
Definitely. It's great to be on. Great to be on, ladies and gents. This is the closing argument. Lofa, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How's your end?
Oh man, always well. Just a little busy here at the office. That's about it. But all is well. A lot is happening in our country politically wise. We have a run up coming up, November 14th. Today is November 1st. So we technically have what 13 more days to the runoff. A lot is happening, and negotiations are ongoing, and endorsements are being sought. And man, it's a lot happening, man. I was looking at a few posts on social media today, and I've seen some folks from UP and CDC have already started claiming the endorsement of the ALOCP, uh,
Yes.
and so they have not put out any official statement yet. But both sides have already started claiming. I made my prediction yesterday, and I could be wrong. But a lot is happening, man. What's your take on that?
Just like you said, a whole lot is happening and will continue to happen over the next couple of days. I think Dr. Peabody still got something claiming about hearing the I'm hearing myself.
I'm on mute. I'm on mute.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, like I said, a lot is happening and a lot is going to continue to happen until the election is over. We will continue to hear the yay and nay. We will continue to hear the gossips. We will continue to hear reasons for conversations to get sparked out, and a whole lot of things will happen. But as we get on today, quite a few things that I really want to get a better understanding of is decisions that are made, especially when it comes to endorsement from these political institutions in Liberia. How are they going about? Because from what I heard today, CDC is considering that, hey, we want vast majority of the endorsement, because those who endorse the CDC are the youth wing and majority of the women in other part, while the Unity Party is saying, well, we got the executives. Remember, we had similar story when it came to the Liberty Party, right? When it came to the Liberty Party, the CPP, when what Darius Delon, Yompi Kanga was on the road, doing everything possible to split the Liberty Party apart, and just do everything to kill the CPP. And it came to the point where it became the propaganda to say, okay, you can have the documents, but we have the people. Is that the same thing that we are experiencing here with ACOB when it comes to the endorsement? Are these guys even considering the views of these partisans? Are they doing some kind of evaluation, assessment of what it would take to maintain the institution unity after they have done some of these endorsement? Or it's just simply political and just don't care about their partisans?
Yeah, I mean, this is when institutions truly matters, right? And by the way, to those who are listening right now, please go ahead and share the show. We would appreciate that. Please share. But this is where true institutions comes to play. Because again, from all indications, I'm not sure if and this is not just going to boil down to this party, but even the CPP. It will be interesting to see what decision is made from higher hierarchy perspective, the leadership of the CPP, but the CPP leadership Also, they talk about engaging partisans. Will have to convince its partisans and to say, look, this is why we have made this decision, and what are your thoughts on this? Because let's assume the CPP in those unity party. I know a lot of partisans who just does not see the logic in the CPP endorsing Liberty Party, right? Let's say ARCOP endorse Unity Party. There are lots of partisans who have already made their view clear as to why Unity Party is not that party. So a lot of work must be done, and I hope that these institutions are actually doing the work, because it defeats the purpose for an institution, the leadership of an institution, to make a significant endorsement, but the partisans, the folks the people who actually make these institutions, because without these people, the leadership alone does not make the institution. The institution, they're backed by people, they're backed by numbers, right? And this is the reason why uh, these political parties are going after them. And so if you just make the endorsement but your partisan does not agree with it, then you cannot guarantee that the endorsement will translate to votes, right? And then it defeats the purpose. So a lot of work needs to be done, but this is where true institutions comes to play. Institutions that are not just about individuals, but institutions that are centered around, co-share values, ideas, and things like that. Because when people truly believe in certain ideas, I don't care what you say, Alofa, they will not support a party that does not share their core values, or they will not support a party that a platform is not aligned with their ideas. I mean, I don't care which way it goes. And so it'll be really interesting to see how this endorsement goes. They don't have a lot of time on their hands, so they're working, behind time. They have to make these endorsements. They have to hit the campaign trail. They have to make the case, their respective cases for, and they have to make the argument why they endorse. But one thing that I will close on before I let you come in is that I'm glad that most of these endorsements are based on the issues and not perhaps jobs. Now we don't know about the details, right? We don't know about the details behind the scenes, but as far as I know, the CPP have put forth some really good prerequisites, and the other party from yesterday, have also put forth some great prerequisites, and it'll be interesting to see which side they go, and to actually come back and tell us what was the key factor in deciding on this.
And that's another key point that you just highlighted. The proposals that were made. All right. It, do I really want to hear from both parties that are going on? Not just, well, I know the CPP and ALCO really stand up tall right now, because of, again, their relevance in the entire process. Not that the other political parties really don't matter, but the reality that the CPP and that of ALCO stands a whole lot, and of course ALP. But my only concern here is what we have continuously highlighted, the fact that most institutions are not based on the actual institution foundation. Okay, it's either a handful of individuals who make all of the decisions in the interest of the masses, or they just don't care. And so you tend to see where individuals tend to run the day-to-day affairs of those institutions, and the masses just follow, and they give them what they feel like they need to hear. Are they making these decisions in the best interest of the masses? What are they taking into consideration? I know there are a few things that were mentioned by the CPP that I feel like, okay, these are things that their supporters should take into consideration. The establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court, having to empower more women. The question that I'm more concerned about when it comes to the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court, which of these two political parties currently in the race stands a better chance of considering that decision? We have, over the past few years, we've had an individual in Prince Johnson who have been on every side, and you and I will you and I can speak to this, and hopefully somebody can correct me. For every side Prince Johnson steps on, that side will agree to the establishment of the World and Economic Crimes Court. But after it all, then they walk away from it. He did it with Madame Sharif. He supported Madame Sharif for 12 consecutive years. Madame Sharif and Honorable Joseph Boakai, for 12 consecutive years, they ignored the establishment of the World and Economic Crimes Court, even though Liberian cried. At the time, CDC were in opposition. They cried, they pleaded for everything. Unfortunately, that just did not happen. Um, a few years after, he supported President George Manuel today. And 6 years into it, the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court appears to have just fallen on deaf ear. Today, here we are. He has now transitioned to supporting the Unity Party. And they are being asked again for the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court based on both sides. Who stands a better chance of establishing the War and Economic Crimes Court, especially when we look in the corners of these political parties that are actually asking for the supports of these citizens? We see where Butt Naked, the famous name for Butt Naked, we see, what's his name? Prince Johnson and other major warlords who are playing pivotal roles for the campaign and everything else that is going on. Who actually stands a better chance of establishing the War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia?
Well, it's been please, ladies and gentlemen, share the show if you can. Please share the show if you can. And you do know that we have a few other platforms that are also screaming us live. And so I know right now we have 1.4K following. So please continue to share the show as much as you can. But look, I think this is a very peculiar thing that's happening, Alofa, because look. It's been over 10 years. The Truth and Reconciliation was established for a reason, and a lot of people were excited about that establishment. And that establishment was not to go after people, was not to target people. It was a process to see how best we could talk about these issues that happened during our long civil crisis, and also to see how we could come to the beginning of what will be reconciliation, right? And we've seen a lot of really smart people move in and out of this process. We've perused these documents, we've listened to the stories, and one thing that all of us as Liberians can agree to was that, look, I think we've had enough, and it's time for us to move forward. Peace, sustainability, and reconciliation are two important pieces of how we move forward. But I think where we have not really decided, though, is uh, 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 are we confusing what peace and unity and moving forward means as to uh, holding people accountable for their actions, right? Because there are others who see peace in this process as those who killed, those who killed innocent people in this country. Okay, people who had nothing to do with the nonsense and everything. In order for us to peacefully move forward and get closure, right? We need to ensure that these people are held accountable for their actions. For many Liberians, that's what peace means to them, right? And for others who were directly involved, peace to them means, well, you know what? Don't worry about what we did. Don't worry about the lives that we took senselessly. Don't worry about it. I think it's time for all of us to forget about everything, including the criminals, the killers. Let's forget about everything and move forward. But in history does not lie. There have not been peace or sustained peace in any place under any circumstance without accountability. And so this is not an attack on anyone, but I just been baffled at the fact that we as a people and a government have not been able to come to this place where we can say, look, We're not targeting anyone, but we've got to hold people accountable. We've got to send a message for anyone who could possibly be thinking about making the same mistakes that these warlords made, right? Because if you act unconstitutionally, you will be held accountable. This is the message that we have not agreed to. And so the establishment of war crimes code, I think, is long overdue. It's long overdue. We've got to ensure that those responsible for the destruction of our country, for the backwardness of our country, for killing innocent lives, we've got to ensure that they are held accountable for it, whatever that may be. Even more frustrating is the fact that these very folks have become over the years key voices in our democracy. Instead of holding them accountable, we have rewarded them. We have continued to sustain them financially. They are living some of the best lives in the country amongst people they suppressed for many years. So the question for many Liberians outside of politics, we don't care about the politics. But outside of politics, how then do we move forward? How do you explain to a young girl who was 5 years old when her father was senselessly murdered only because of his ethnic affiliation? How do you explain that? How does she regain trust in that society? How do you explain that? And so it's a lot of moving parts to this, but I think it's time for any government, be it the We Are led government, be it the Unity Party led government, or any government in the future, to look at this thing holistically and say, look, peace and unity can only be strengthened when people are held accountable for their actions. And when people are thinking about doing things crazy, they will have a second thought because they know we have created a system where a send a message that you will be held accountable per the law if you act illegally, if you act unconstitutionally, and if you commit any sort of crimes in this country. We have not agreed to that message yet.
I don't think, Robert, that message will be accepted until somebody takes the leeway in this entire process. We can play all we want. We can beat around the drum and pretend as though we want to do it, but we are not exercising that level of restraint on ourselves, even and to make sure that we can implement things to the fullest. People are not even showing any remorse. Some of the participants, the perpetrators of heinous acts in our country, they're showing no remorse. As a matter of fact, these are some of the loudest mouths in the country today, and they're even threatening more of the same kind of the same kind of thing. So, at what point do we set that precedence? I agree the fact that, look, we must reconcile. We must all come together and speak the message of peace. But those perpetrators, those who are being rewarded, okay, with prestigious positions, they're running around and showing no remorse for their actions. In fact, they are using this to say, look, I should be considered a hero because I was involved to this extent. I was defending my people. To what extent? Okay. So at what point it brings us back to the decisions that are being made by these political parties? What to what extent are they considering the voices of their partisans? Like, come on. All right. If you have 1,000 or more registered members of that political party, all right, you have 1,000 or more registered members. And if you have 50% of them coming up and saying to you, hey, we don't want to go to this uh, party. We don't want to endorse these guys because we don't believe that they stand for what we believe in. And the executive just come up and say, look, we're going to do it. Okay. Because we have discussed the issue of having some kind of potential saying in job division and all of these things. Then what is it that you're fighting to change? You never fought to change anything, because if you simply just buying into the idea that you were proposed jobs and now you want to run on it, what difference are you going to make? And these are some of the things that a lot of our politicians, I normally refer to them as politicians, they will often run off with. What is it that we can get from out of this entire discussion as compared to what the people are supposed to get? And this is why we find ourselves here today. And that makes it so complicated for them to make decisions. That's part of the reason why you will have executive members of a political party who will come and dodge the possibility of answering any question straight up front, to be honest to himself or to herself, and gave the people what they need to hear, because they are afraid that they are not, okay, giving the people what they want to hear. They're not giving the people what they need. Vast majority of the people are asking for something else as compared to what the executive officials are doing in the back. Okay, one precedence that I think that the CPP and the standard bearer actually set up was the fact that they came to the public and listed out what they want. This is what we're going to the. This is what we're going to the discussion table with. If you cannot agree or give us a counter proposal, we don't think we'll be working with you. So up front, it was presented. You know of it. So this is what they're working with. Are other political parties doing the same thing, or they're going in the back and telling us, okay, yes, we have certain criteria, we have certain expectation, but we cannot share what those things are. Who are you representing? Aren't you representing the population, all of us? So I mean, that gets me wondering, at what point do we start to hold these people accountable to say, look, if you're negotiating, whether or not I am a bona fide member of that political party, I think it's only fair for the public to know on what basis are you negotiating with these other political parties, and based on your proposal, how is it going to work to the best interest of our people? Today, you have some of us who are, neutral in the entire process. Okay, and people say you cannot be neutral, but what if both parties are not representing your interests? So you just go and support anything because you want to be a part of the crowd? I don't think that is being fair to yourself. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah. So 1 second. So I mean, great point. Very, very good point. And so we have to. I'm hoping. I'm always been optimistic when it comes to our country, Liberia, and what the possibilities are. And I remain optimistic regardless of which way these elections actually go. And I believe that there are more good people in Liberia than there are bad people. I believe that there are young people like you and I who actually want to see a better country, great leadership, great representation, not just from the executive branch level, but from the legislative branch of government, and all elected and appointed leaders, right? Who will set the right example, who will make our country proud, and I'm still optimistic that that day will come before uh, God takes some of us away. And so I hope that these discussions are fruitful discussions. I hope that they are a reflection of partisans, and not just leaders' personal or self-aggrandizement or personal benefits. And but again, it will be interesting to see which way this actually goes. But I want us to talk about a little bit about welcome, Sylvester. If you can just mute yourself, I think we're hearing ourselves. So if you can just mute yourself, that would be good. It will be, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I don't like to mention his name or what's going on, but I think it's one of the hot topics right now as we move on in these elections. Stanton is scheduled to be sentenced tomorrow, the 2nd of November. I'm told that he's currently in Florida, awaiting sentence. And I do not wish bad on anyone. And I want to use this platform to be very clear. My position is one based on my own morals. It's not perfection. It's not perfection, because none of us are perfect, right? We make decisions sometimes that are just bad for ourselves and our family, right, and our community. So my stand and my position is one that is based on principle and people having voices, and people being taken seriously. And what I've said from day one is For a criminal, a convicted criminal to be a moral voice when it comes to criminals in our country, right? Or people not doing the right thing in our country, to be doing bad, doesn't matter which system is under. I thought that was hypocrisy. So, but I wish him all the best. I think he should be held accountable for his action, and I'm glad that we are in a system where people are held accountable for their actions. But there have been a lot of noise around some folks, some of whom are my friends, people that I respect, people who have questioned and made the case with regards to serious corruption and why this government should not be re-elected on grounds of massive corruption, the lack of actions, and so forth and so on. These very people have refused on many occasions to condemn Stanton's action. These very people have refused on many occasions to really be as loud and explicit as they have been against other corruption cases, be it in America or in Liberia. And some of these people were, I was shocked. I'm not sure if you guys have read. We've seen some of the letter of character letters written. Some of these people are my friends, and I would not stop respecting them because of this. But I really want us to discuss this a little bit. Let's just spend maybe 10 minutes or so on this. Um, Maybe they have some logical explanation, right? But how do you make the argument effectively that people in our country who are corrupt are bad for the system? People who in our country who are corrupt should be held accountable. People who are corrupt or scammers in our country should have no place in our political dispensation. How do you make this argument effectively, but yet it's still in these United States? These United States, the very place that politicians are created, worked, and then return home to give back to the people, but start doing the same things. How do you make that argument? How can people take you seriously when you make those arguments, but yet and still you are writing letter of character for a man who knowingly and extensively committed a fraudulent crime and risk many lives. Many lives could be at risk at what he did. And why not? How do you make that argument? That you know what, he's a kind-hearted person. He helped a lot of people. Is that enough for impunity? Is that enough reasons for folks not to be held accountable? Would you take those people seriously? How do you make that up?
So this is where we must draw the fine line and be upfront with a lot of our colleagues and associates. You know, we cannot we can't play double standards here in some of these things, especially we are at the very embryo stage of what we are considering transformation in Liberia, what we are fighting for some level of transparency. We seek accountability in Liberia. We ask people to behave in a much more integrous manner. Okay, have some ethics and morals. We no, not a single one of us on here. Not to even speak of the general population, not a single one of us on here today can claim saint. Okay, the only saint on here is Saint Tomalin George because it comes with his name, right? Other than that, other than that, not a single one of us here. But again, we cannot be the face of the face of morality as we want to claim it, or we cannot be the fight for one, and then we are out here doing the complete opposite. So the guidelines are only observed when it applies to our colleagues or other people who are not closely affiliated with us. But when it comes to us, then we want to turn the entire process around. A lot of these things that are happening are these people sincerely doing these things because they believe in this individual and everything that they have done. How are we really going to fight corruption in Liberia when we are endorsing the act of corruption? This is major. Okay, and I think part of the reason why these things are happening is not simply because these people think that corruption is a good thing. They know it, but I think we have supported these things, and to the extent where I think some of our lawmakers who were what deported are serving in high places in Liberia. I think one for Nati Kofa. All right, he was deported. Fanati Kofa went to Liberia and he got elected. Okay, so we literally what we are telling our people here is okay. We cry about corruption. We cry about all the things that we don't want, but when there are things that our family members are part of, then we want to play deaf ear to these things. We cannot do that. We cannot ask for a vibrant society, but then we want to be selective in the entire process. It would never work. We would never have that vibrant society. We would never create that enabling environment for all of us to equally play, compete, and be a part of the process if we are only selective as to who the law applies to. Because today, 99% of our people are victim. The law only applies to 1% of the people, and those are the very few, the minority, the ones who can afford. Okay, and the rest of our people, they are left vulnerable. So when I hear people who are trying to act like referees on other people, you don't want government officials who are, in quotation, corrupt, because again, we are yet to have any kind of legal process to have anybody indicted in Liberia. But yes, all of us speculate. We all make these accusations, and it's just based on the day-to-day happening. But yet and still, we want to come out here and sit and say, okay, you know what? He's my brother, or he's my co-host. I'm co-hosting to him, so let me just plead on his behalf. It doesn't work like that. I would, matter of fact, I just posted a video on my timeline. Go ahead and watch that. There's this guy. Hopefully, I'll try to share it on here. It's a comedy kind of thing, but it speaks a lot to what people do. All right, do the crime, serve the time. I'll stop at that for now.
Thank you, thank you. Look, ladies and gentlemen, continue to share the show. We have what 1.7 right now, and don't forget we have other platforms, other pages that are live streaming this show, and so some of those numbers might be a little off, but this is the closing argument official page. Continue to share the show, and let's have these discussions. I was hoping that Sylvester could chime in a little bit, but he's gone off. Hopefully, when he comes back, he will be able to do that.
All right,
But look, like I
Sylvester
said,
should be here with us.
yeah, like I said, I personally, I have not. I've been very clear on this issue, and thank God, all of my friends are aware of this. If you gotta act accordingly. I mean, that's just simple as that. I love my friends, right? And sometimes we can love people that are close to our heart, from in other ways. But when it comes to when it comes to when it comes to hold on real quick, guys.
So we will have to just in a jiffy. Our panel will have to join us back. So just be patient. They will come,
Thank you.
uh, providing you a couple of informations as we gear up for the runoff comes November 14th. So
Thank
I
you.
think they are back, so they can take it from there.
Thank you. Thank you. And
All
so
right.
and so and so thank God all of my friends know this. We can love people and what have you, but the truth is the truth. And every day we sit on this platform, thousands of Liberians are listening to us. There are more than 14 radio stations across the country that are caring. They're listening to us for a reason. It's not to say that we're perfect, right? But we've got to be consistent in our arguments. We got to be consistent in how we carry ourselves, not as perfect
Let me
citizens, right?
chime on something quickly.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
The closing argument has been really on 36 community radio stations.
Wow. You know what?
There you
Yeah.
go. Yep.
So let me just say this, right, Robert? If I will please, to you as well, brother Jella, I think we should allow people to chime in on this conversation here. Let's open up the phone lines, hopefully, and see whether let's get people reaction about this particular topic. What do people make of it? Those of us who are out here trying to serve as police, okay? But yet and still, we are doing contrary to what people think of the day-to-day policies that we are standing against. I think we should give the people chance to speak to these things, because these are the people that we talk to every day. They should contribute to this particular part of the conversation. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay. So if you can get, we can probably take maybe about 5 calls.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. But let me land on this note though,
go ahead.
because it's important. If my friends or even my dad, so we have this conversation in the back end. If my friends didn't respect me and didn't respect themselves or didn't respect anything that we stand for, and went out there, and I'm not just talking about political allegations, right? If
Right.
the fact shows that this person was involved in a massive corruption or anything of that sort, trust me,
Mhm.
you best believe I will speak up publicly. It doesn't mean I don't love my friend, but we can't selectively pick on how loud we get on public and national TV and radios when it's about other people as opposed to when it hits close to home. And this is where the double standard comes into place. We can protect our loved ones. We can love people. We can respect people. We can say, you know what? This person was so nice to me. They were kind to me. They're a good person. But a good person can do something as terrible as what this guy did. And when we are men and women enough to publicly admit that, people can say, you know what? I understand he still love his friend. He may still care for his friend. I don't want bad things to happen to good people.
No.
But at the end of the day, when good people make bad and terrible mistake at the detriment of others and at the detriment of a system that goes beyond just them, then good and decent people must act, must speak up. And so if you Lofa or Ben Sanvee or anyone, and these are people that I care about, these are people that I have relationship with. If they did something, I'm not gonna come here and say, you know what, I'm muted on this matter or I plead the fifth, right? Because now it's someone that I have a relationship with. I'm gonna say, look, he was wrong. I do not support his actions. And whatever the law says, he or she must be held accountable per the law. But are they a good person? Of course they're a good person. We do not know how to do these things because we have something to protect, something that benefits us personally. We cannot continue to do these things because when these people who are listening to us across the country, when they listen to us and they know that we are consistent and they know that we are consistent with these issues and where we stand, regardless who it is, they will respect us more and they will take us seriously. So again, I wish him the best, but I think he should be held accountable. I would not write the judge telling the judge why they should throw the kitchen sink at him, but I would not, with good conscience, write in a letter of character on grounds that this person was kind, this person was nice, they have served their community. It does not negate the fact that they committed a crime.
True.
So let's take some calls.
All right, guys. For those of I know folks are saying for those of you in the diaspora, the number is out there, and then the guys back home. But I think we'll give the people back home the priority, the first priority, and then for those of you in the diaspora who are calling in, that's the number. Call in. I guess we got Sylvester in here, so
Sylvester, you want
wanna
to
count me on
comment
this
in
one.
this a little bit before we take calls?
Yeah.
And
Mm.
Jacob, can you come in and start get some calls? We'll take about 5 calls, okay, and then maybe 2 or 3 from the
Yes,
state from the diaspora.
Yeah.
yeah. Let me just come in quickly because I've been having some issues. Yeah, but I think, guys, you guys been tracking it very well, and I think when we're talking about integrity matter in this place, we should not be selective. But quickly before I move on, Lofa Julius, let me Councilor Fanati Kofa, JFK, he was never deported from the United States. No, I just thought to correct this. He never got deported. As a matter of fact,
Was
he
it?
had an issue in the U.S., but I think he never. Yeah, I
But
can
okay,
assume
okay. Correction
that
accepted.
I
But he
just
was indicted for
met
something
him in
though.
the U.S. quite recently. He's Maryland resident.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a court proceeding there, and he served the time. And it was a process,
Okay.
but he was not deported.
Okay.
No, absolutely not.
Correction accepted.
There,
Thank you. Correction accepted.
there was a particular issue, but he was never. deported. Yeah, I just thought to
Okay.
make this clarification. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the correction.
You
Yeah,
got
I'll
anything
be
else to
reading
add,
some of the
Sylvester?
notes coming up.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're breaking in and out.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So I've been reading some of the notes to the Josh. I think it's quite unfortunate. We all needed to be open-minded. It's process, and we try to criticize the issue about corruption here for one person. We should be brave enough to extend it across the board. It's quite that's part of the, we are all jumping into this about defending this, but it's quite unfortunate attacking to other individuals and the rest of that. So it's quite unfortunate on a serious note. But I look forward to a good show. And I've been having some internet problem this evening here in Dixie, so I haven't been coming on. But we, as we move on the show, we want to make other points and moving on. But yeah, there are a lot of important points from our end here while we prepare to move into the forest tomorrow in Lofa County. But yes, I'm going to be here in part of the show while we listen to the callers because we want to take more calls in so we can get a perspective from the caller. So yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. So Jala, if you got some calls, please come on. And I think Lofa just shared the number for the diaspora as well. So if you have any interest in chiming in this matter, we will give 5 minutes. Welcome to Isaac Jackson, and then we'll also let Isaac Jackson, Attorney Jackson, chime in on this as well before we move on to other topics. But this is the closing argument, guys. We are here. I'm Robert. Lofa is here. Mr. Attorney Isaac Jackson is here. Sylvester is coming in from Liberia. He's on ground for these elections. Tomalin George and the rest of the guys, the heavyweights, they are all out there in Liberia. Chairman, I think he's probably in route right now. But this is the closing argument. One of the best most balanced. We discuss the issues. We don't insult. We talk about the issues irrespective of partisan lines and who you are. We talk about it, and I think we should keep it that way. But the callers can chime in.
People keep asking for the number. Let me. I'm sorry, Robert. Let me just announce this. The number is actually written here. You guys can see it. 919-324-6828. Again, it's 919-324-6828, and that number is also on WhatsApp. So yeah, there you go. Thank you. 919.
So that's the number. Please call in. Please call in. Charming. We'll take 5 calls from Liberia, maybe 3 from the diaspora. Please do that so we can move on and talk about some other issues. And so Isaac can also chime in on this as well. So Jala, we have any call from Liberia? Jala, there you go. Do we have any call from Liberia? Please take some calls. Not yet.
No, we can't take call now because no phone.
You have to pin down some the number from
okay.
the have to be
Well,
a local number from
if you want to call from the diaspora, we have the number 919-324-6828.
Right.
Okay, so anyone from the diaspora wants to call and chime in on this matter, please call. We were talking about the double standard, and and I have to say, this is just not an ordinary person like the guy or not, right? This is a man who admitted recently to paying $60,000 for a major a former ruling party rent. $60,000 is that's a lot of money.
Rob, we got a call here.
Go ahead.
Caller, you name me where you calling from. Let's hear from you. Your name is what?
Rufus Doe.
All right, Rufus, let's hear from you. You got a minute.
Yeah, you're right. So my point has to do with the whole center thing. Bro, I'm one person who is a part of all my friends to come in spoon around my area here.
Okay.
But the movement in got indicted by the American government. No, bro, I started hitting that guy. I tell people if you come with clean hands, you will come with clean hands, must come with equity. That's what we should preach. You can't be preaching people integrity, and you say you got integrity issues. What are you preaching? You're just the same person. What you want to do? Buy public sentiment so that people don't talk about you tomorrow if it won't come out? I think that's the game the guy was trying to play. But no, nobody bowed down to that. And I'm going to applaud those 4 guys that left the platform. Okay? They were right. History will judge them for the good they have done for our country. Goodbye. Because everyone out there, if you're preaching something, don't get involved in it. Integrity matters. So if you're preaching integrity, get your own integrity to the right decision. So that everybody will say, yeah, this guy, he's preaching integrity from the standpoint of good. So I want to say thank you. The closing argument, I always follow you guys. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. Let's take that other caller here. Hello, caller. Your name and where you calling from? Let's hear from you. Oh, that caller hung up. Okay, they hung up. Hopefully they call back, Robert. We can continue until that person calls back. Can you guys hear the callers clear? Are you guys hearing the callers clear? Robert, Isaac, are you guys hearing the callers clear when they call in? The last caller who was just
Yes,
on?
I didn't hear the guy who called in, but I'm happy to be here. I mean, you guys are in the middle of the show when I came, so let me say good afternoon, good evening to our people who are following the broadcast. I'm happy to be here. I did hear the caller very clearly. You know, I don't know whether we have to respond to him now or we have to respond later, or I need to be brought up to speed regarding the topic on a discussion. You know, then I can chime.
I mean, with the fact that no one is calling. This caller just tried a couple times. Caller from 202. Call back. I was trying to get you in here, but yeah. All right, let's take this caller here real quick. Caller, your name and where you calling from? 202. Last 4 is 2214. Let's hear from you.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening. This is Vincent calling from DC.
Vincent from DC. Let's hear you.
You know, I really, you know, sometimes when I listen to those many party guys. How could you imagine a man that supported the vice for 2 years, 2 years in what, breaking America and sponsoring American procedure altogether, taking it back from America to Liberia, all through his life. Because the man leaving your party, leaving a man or leaving a party, he start going against it. Those sort of men criticize all the government officials, criticize the president all through it. The regime of you are supporting the president, vice president, you're on him because he's leaving the party, you're leaving, walk out there, everybody going. Apart from that, look at those people. Look at the people that criticize government. All those people are in the government that left the government and went back to them. They're not even criticizing them no more. They're not even no problem with them. But because they saw those all people leaving there, going to the government, they criticizing them. Like you was there for you all to your left. You're not having nowhere to go. The full supporter, you're all true. When you not able to make it on Costa is the whole entire Europe family supported Costa. Just because they left him, then they start becoming an enemy for them. They are not people that will be lower, bro. They're not even there for the country.
Thank you.
They're not there for the spread.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller. All right. So, guys, I think Isaac can kind of chime in on here while we wait for the calls. We're just discussing, I guess Robert can bring it up to speed.
Yeah. Yeah. So Isaac, just chime in a little bit. I was asking Lofa and Sylvester, you know, Stanton is in Florida, waiting trial tomorrow. And over the past 24 hours, we've seen folks who have written letter of character appealing to the judge to have mercy on him. But these are the very folks who have made the case as to why certain government and certain government officials in Liberia, certain tinted characters are bad for our country and our people. And they are making the argument that, oh, he was a nice guy. Oh, he helped this person. Oh, he helped that person. I mean, is that enough for impunity? Does that negate the fact that he did not commit a bad crime? Should we imagine if people were to write character letters for corrupt officials who have helped others in our country? Are we going to hold anyone accountable? Is that enough? And should we take these people seriously? I mean, can you argue that corrupt officials in Liberia are bad for the system, bad for the country, but yet and still you are making the argument or justification as to why this man in America should not be held accountable for his actions? Isn't that oxymoron? Does that make any sense?
Definitely. It is indeed an oxymoron. But on top of that, it is a crying shame. it's just demonstrate that some of our people are dangerous hypocrites. I mean, this thing reminds me, or it just drew my attention to a post by one of my junior brother, Martin Colley. I saw a post and somebody asked me, say, why you take on Martin Colley's post that say, you cleaning poo in America? I said, even though I found the Peking argument to be utterly disgusting, having leached on me. I mean, I said leech in capital letter, having leached on me for several years while in London, taking care of him, sending things to him in that place, Netherlands, having leached on me that he will read such disgusting rubbish. I said, it was not the one that disturbed me. What I found problematic is the young man demonstration of the lack of moral compass. This man is trying to ridicule me for exercising or carrying out an earnest labor. It was Martin Luther King Jr. who said, if you be a Swiss stripper, he said you must Swiss street so well that people will find a beaten path to your door. This man, he said, oh, you're making fun of me. But he will be behind me in my inbox making regret. I will not do like Waiter Spoon to talk about how much I've given him, but you will decry me for working to cater to my family. You will exalt a notorious con artist. Martin Colley, you and Boaka marching behind a notorious con artist who put thousands of American people's lives at risk. You celebrating him. What moral compass do you have? You say somebody working in that, but I never, but listen, from the day my father I got to know my father, right, when I was getting mature, he asked me to be a medical doctor. I said, Dad, I don't want to be a medical doctor because I don't, in Liberia, medical doctor, I don't find it to be, and it was maybe my mistaken consideration of it. I don't find medical doctor to be very eloquent. So it never enticed me to that profession. So when my father asked me to be a medical doctor, I said, Dad, you go to the hospital every day, doctor say, what part are you hurting? What play hurting? What play hurting? They're not eloquent. I said, I want to be like Jim Johnson. Jim Johnson used to be the towering lawyer in Boston. I said, that's the kind of thing I want to do. I want to be a lawyer. He said, oh, but man, then you can go ahead. So never in my life have I wanted to be a doctor. That's why I say I'm working in nursing home. This is a complete rubbish. But you decry somebody for working in nursing home, but you celebrating a notorious criminal. And I said this to our people. I know, I just brought it up in passing to say that this childish insult by this speaking has spectacularly backfired on him. Not only that it has backfired on him, other people have condemned him, but it just proves that the Peking is a dopey liar. Because I'm not working in that room, so the man is a dopey liar. You see, what happening in our country is interesting. Councillor Vredier, a towering hemo-red lawyer, you want to go on record as a scam artist friend or a friend to the scam artist? Is that what you're doing in America? Because people who wrote those letters are either family members or friends. In civilized society, people don't just mortgage their friendship like that. I told you the story about Jeffrey Epstein, right? That Prince Andrew had to go there and say the man was a friend. He had to disrobe him of his royal tattoo. Radio. That man who used to be around the human red man, TRC man. You are the one writing letter and begging for criminal when we should be telling the American government for that man to get maximum sentence for him to rot in jail. This man who has used, I can't remember 1 minute, this fellow who has used his criminally acquired wealth to pollute society, taking advantage of other people's women, and even marketing deliberate falsehood. This is the man that this human red man is begging for. You can imagine that? You see how low Jerome Vedder has dragged himself? He wants to pass. History will cast you as a friend of a scam artist. Are you proud of that? Bring him on the show. Let him as that debate days. You're calling, let him come. History will cast you as a friend to a scam artist, the man who put thousands of American lives at risk. That's the man you'll be proud to call your friend, and you writing letter for him. But you will go and say, oh, Jefferson caused him to go to war crime, a man who exercised his political right in Liberia. What a blatant hypocrisy. This is an indecent hypocrisy on the part of the man who say he won't make society better.
No, but I wanted to buttress the point that you made, right? A larger point, and maybe Lofa and Sylvester can come in on this, and then we'll move on to another topic. It's 5:37 p.m. on our side, and I think it's about what 10:37 p.m. in Liberia. I'm not sure, but this is the closing argument. We are discussing the issues that matters in our country. And the other heavyweights, the Tomalin George, Dr. Peabody, and others guys, they are somewhere in the back watching. They might come in later on, but we have every day we have some sort of heavyweights here. Lo-Fi is here, Sylvester's here, Attorney Isaac is here. I'm here. We're all heavyweights, and we're discussing the issue. So I hope I'm doing well in my
Absolutely. I'm moderating the show very well.
day. So I hope I get good ratings. But I wanted to just butcher what you said though about Prince Harry. At some point, he had to willingly accuse himself. He willingly accused himself when that thing came up, and he did that because he wanted to protect the dynasty of his family. He saw the accusation as a distraction. When Ben Sanvee, Dr. Peabody, and others asked Stanton to do the professional thing, I use the word professional because that's what we expect. When an allegation is leveled against you, you should have the right to due process, and you should have the right to go and clear your name. Okay, but in doing so, you also have the right to protect the institution you've built or the institution you are a part of. If I was accused of something, I'm not going to be on a closing argument making noise.
No,
I will
no,
leave. But I
no.
constantly come in a closing argument. I'm accused of this act, and I'm bashing other people that have been accused of something less than what I've been accused of. I have pled guilty of this act, while others have just been accused. They have not had due process, but I'm still talking. I mean, this is the hypocrisy. This is the thing we'll talk about. So he could not do the professional thing to just recuse himself, accuse him, get away, handle your
But
business, come back.
Guys,
So what does that say? What does that say about
guys, let's take this caller. Let's take this caller. That would be the last caller from
Okay.
our end
yeah,
here.
then we can come back in.
Caller, go ahead. Let's hear from you. Your name and where you calling from. You got a minute.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, this is G from the great state of Minnesota. I wanted to share my input as it pertains to Stanton. And I'm speaking from a position of an expert, okay? I am a behavioral analyst. I am a clinical therapist by profession. And this is what I want to say. This is what I am trained to know. When you do an act one time, we call it a behavior. When you do it 1, 2, 3, or 4 times, we call it a pattern. In Stanton's incident, he did it 7,000 times. So how can someone say that he made mistake? He didn't make mistake. That he was what did the letter say? That he is remorseful? No. That he has a pattern of being a criminal, a pattern of offending and re-offending times 7,000 times. So I believe tomorrow the law is going to take all that into consideration, including calling into and getting the advice of criminal behavioral analysts to tell them if sentence is likely to re-offend. And I think tomorrow they will hammer him. I want the justice to do just that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we must go on. We need to now go. I applaud the system. We need to now go on record on this show. If the judge is listening, to call on the judge to hand down the maximum sentence for Witherspoon. I believe he should rot in jail. He's not a guy who is worthy to be entertained in polite society. Imagine putting thousands of elderly American lives at risk only because you want to get rich. Imagine defrauding his own family members because there are rumors about him defrauding his family members or whatever father benefit that was there for them. So this guy, there's something about him. Any Liberian person who comes to America and engages in such conduct that Witherspoon has engaged in, I can say here clearly with authority that criminality is in that person's DNA or in those people's DNA. So criminality is in Witherspoon DNA. He needs to stay behind bar for a long time so that he can come to his good senses. And if there are a prison program, so they can reprogram him, change his mind. The man went to a school in Liberia where they used to sell green. But all of those things that stay with him. He grew up in a community in Liberia called Point Four. I don't want to speak bad of Point Four, but we know what happened around Point Four. Every day, people in that community jacking phone and running away. These are the things that got brought to America. The judge needs to know where he grew up at. That the community had impact on that man. The man is inherently corrupt. He's not decent for society. I am ashamed. I am ashamed for Verdia that he will go prostrate. Maybe we need to investigate whether or not I got been sharing some largesse with him. Why would make a human right lawyer prostrate before the court for an inherent, a congenital rogue like Witherspoon to be to have lesser sentence? Why would make a human right lawyer prostrate in this public manner? That man is a congenital criminal. Born rogue, in like simple English.
Mr. Jackson,
you ask the court to have mercy on a born rogue?
Let me
have mercy on all of us.
So Sylvester, as I drink some water, we'll come back to you. Let me have Sylvester come in on this a little bit. We'll do 1 more minute on each, and then we'll move on to the next topic. It's almost 6, and then after Sylvester, Lofa, you can jump in real quick, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you, boys. Poor.
Bro, my man left that organization with somebody already.
No, the organization is still vibrant. It's very vibrant and still moving through. It's very vibrant. But yeah, it's it. And again, let me register my own disappointing in Councilor Verdia on a most serious note. The last time he came out, he was very firm and strong against a statement against the Mayor Koji, something that he couldn't even prove yet. Mayor Koji was exercising his political process in this country. Everything that unfolded in this country, he attributed that nonsense to Mayor Jonathan Koji. Here today, and he came out and said he's one of the ranking human rights lawyers in this country. His push is to push for people to fight against corruption across the world, to restore the dignity of people. But there's someone that is today defending that is undermining the same advocacy. It's undermining the same advocacy that he promoted time to time. It's quite unfortunate. And for me, I'm one person that normally we all push for advocacy, the transformation of this country. We believe sincerely that if one is to be held responsible, accountability should be across the line. We should not be selective in pushing accountability across this country or whatsoever we Liberians are pushing. Today, the platform was set and sometimes accuse folks with no iota of evidence whatsoever, nothing whatsoever, just mere perception. And said this government official is corrupt, this person is corrupt. Even when the time came for the announcement of election results, you saw how recklessly people disseminated information that were far from the reality. Then you will take some time off and write a judge and say to the judge, we want you to have some, it is quite unfortunate here. In terms of, for us, we're going to rely to see what is unfolding. That's why I always say, I've worked with over integrity institutions. I'm very mindful as to how I jump the gun when it comes to certain matter, because we have to verify those things and understand clearly that you have some major point that you can move. The lawyer will say you need to have prima facie, or the criminal investigator will say prima facie before you can do things. I don't just blindly accuse folks. When I operated before with the new progressive, when then Borja was deputy information minister, there were times he would call me, we'll have conversations. I can recall we had a lot of conversation behind the scene before. But what I'm very mindful of is that I needed to be very clinical in terms of how I push acquisition. When I was to go after you, I got all of the facts, all of the necessary facts. I was moved. The appetite was there then to talk for the government of the public, headed at the time by Madam Editor. There was things that we got involved with. But what we didn't do was to just malign people blindly. No, we didn't do that. I also work with the General Auditing Commission. So to sit there and see, but then people that will be involved into those very well orchestrated sinister plan. I mean, there's a room for the judge to set a basic fear for one to get punished because that's the only way one can get rehabilitated. One can be redeemed and come back and know I have done something wrong. It's not like my father is punishing me for doing something wrong. He will say to me, my son, I love you and I like you. But if you did something, you breach the family regulation, you have to be punished. These are the kind of discipline instilled in us, me and my siblings. And that's why we went on that track. And that track will always have to be maintained. So I think I will agree 100% with what the rest of the thing, what Borja said, all of that. Today, I saw the post, and I just be lying and saying, no, honestly, I have issue with Borja before. But Borja is a very competent person. He cannot be someone that will push cartoon in America. I can vouch for that. Borja cannot push cartoon in America. Right? So America, we are professional people. That's why I said to the other folks last time. I said I went to one of the best universities in America. I got master's degree. So don't expect me to be. I will survive. If I could resign government and I will survive. You don't have to think. You see, it's not everyone that no, Monty, you need to rethink your process. You need to rethink it. I understand you refer to yourself as the John Rambo and the rest of that, but this is not the time that we get engaged into this kind of a thing, right? It is important to come out and stand some moral ground here and say folks should be punished for what we've done. And that's the kind of thing we're going to stand for, Robert. And so, I mean, it is clear we all agree and we all love one another. But we should
Thank you.
prepare ourselves to say one of our own have done wrong, not to begin the process of sending out the backside and bastardize order and try to promote one of yours. No, that is unacceptable.
Thank you. Lofa?
Thank you. A couple things that was said here earlier that I took note of is Isaac, spoke of it, and as well as my brother Pee Wee. They both spoke of the society, right? Martin Luther King said, "All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance, and should be undertaken with painstaking excellence. It don't matter what you do." But our society have created this vacuum of young people who really don't understand nor do they value labor, like what is done here in the United States. So they have, just decided to buy into this idea that, hey, everybody in the United States, we are toting cartoons and what have you. Regardless of what you do, it's the dignity of labor that really matters to a lot of people. And that's what makes the United States a much more vibrant society. Okay? It's not the suit and tie that you have been made to believe is the only way to work. In Liberia, you have been made to think that if you're not wearing suit and tie, that means you're not part of the working class. Misconception. These are some of the reasons why we will continuously remind these young people, stop dwelling on theories. Practicality matters. If you don't have the practical understanding, you would never live up to expectations. Again, these are some of the reasons why we are continuously reminding the government to create that enabling environment for young people to be given the opportunity for the level of exposure that is needed. For one to even come and attempt being denigrating to someone for trying to legally and ethically sustain their family. And you make mockery of it? You make mockery of the fact that somebody is working and sincerely trying to sustain the family. You are the one who should actually accept the mockery here, because you're the one telling us that, okay, you have no understanding of what the workforce is. Okay? I worked at a gas station when I was in high school. I worked as J.C. Penney's. I sold family shoes. Okay? I work for the Department of Defense today. A contractor. I serve as a consultant. I'm not any better than the consultants who come around after my consultancy. Look, let's be real to ourselves here. Even those who clean our various cubicles and offices, they bring much more value to that institution. All right? We must learn to value labor, and our young people are not understanding these things. It's sad. But again, I don't want to blame the young man. Society have failed this young man, and I think we all must take responsibility for the fact that governments before did not do due diligence. And for that reason, the brother is literally exposed. Okay? To some level of, I mean, yeah, I will say limitation because he doesn't understand it. I will not. I disagree with Isaac Johnson for so many reasons. For the fact that Isaac have been to so many extent where he disagree with that person, disagree. I will disagree with Isaac on every other thing. But to speak of the job, especially it is being done legally, sincerely to sustain his family, I must applaud you, my brother. I don't care what you're doing. I must applaud you for trying to go through the legal process and not trying to take the shortcut to sustaining you and your family, because there are several reasons why anybody in your class will probably want to do something similar. There are young people here who rely on handouts. The belief on it in handouts, the back, when they could get up and go to work in the morning. When you and I are waking up to go to work in the morning, guess what's happening? They are out there putting up Cash App for support and assistance. You're not supporting the workforce. So no, you must understand. All right. So,
yeah. Isaac, before you come in,
let me just jump in because I will use the phone in the car because I'm about to go somewhere quickly.
Go ahead.
So I agree with the brother. This is eloquently stated. Martin Colley is an incontinent toddler. He's a man with no self-restraint, so he can go ahead and do what he's doing. I have thought that he will come up with a political zinger to respond piece by piece to my article. I know they are displeased about my characterization of Mr. Bwaka as being a holder of a Blamado degree. And so he tried to draw in some of my friend Gafua, how you call the other guy, Boma Kamara. Boma Kamara just got a job less than 2 months ago with the African Union. So you bring him. But why? Because he is little minded, what he didn't take into consideration is that all those he named and myself have got similar degrees, right? Bwaga has a master's degree. I have a master's degree from one of the distinguished and outstanding universities in England, Babek. All right, the University of Babek. Michael Garvey went to that school that I went to. So I didn't go to one cheap school to graduate from there. So he bring Bwama Kamara. Bwama got master. Gafwa got master. I represented Liberia at the IMO. What has that man represented? Up to now, he doesn't even have a national job that he's taking up. That picking, just passing around, putting more on everybody. You see what I'm talking about? Somebody is an incontinent toddler. He got no self-restraint. He passing all over the place. The other thing that I have argued that they can't respond to intelligently is the lack of good rapport that success between Madam Sally and her former vice president. See the picture that came from Mr. Bwaka's visit. You see, Madam Sally is withdrawn, cold and aloof. Up to today's date, she has not even given a vote of endorsement for the man to take the big job. What does it say to you? What does it say to you? Bwaka is a bearer of deep-seated grudges based on innate tribal instinct. He doesn't let conquer people. He's a divisive character. This is the last sentence I will make, then I go outside. Let me say to our Liberian people, Bwaka and Kun are deeply dangerous for our country. Bwaka is dangerous because number one, he's a divisive character. Number two, he's a tribal bigger. All right. Number three, he is a bearer of deep-seated grudges. The present day Liberia is about reconciliation. That's why I will come here and say, let gay president, we are a second chance. Somebody said, but why are you forgiving? We are saying, but the Bible teaches us to forgive. President, we will recognize that, oh yeah, I did something to ask, let me reach out. It shows that the president is a decent person, that I will be able to willingly forgive the president. It shows that I too am a decent person. We are working in accordance with God's teaching. You can't say, oh, don't reconcile with a man. President say, let's reconcile. I say, no, I won't reconcile. If the president say, let's reconcile, and say you don't want to reconcile, then you are hate-filled. And if you are hate-filled, then you can't be a decent politician. Politicians should be magnanimous for the forward advance of their country. You know what I mean? So the Kun, Bwaka and Kun, I say they are deeply dangerous for our country because I given why Bwaka is deeply dangerous for the country. Let me come to Kun. Kun is also a deeply dangerous man for our country because Kun is not just grossly, epically incompetent, he is inherently corrupt. Now, if you put a tribal bigot and an incompetent Kun coupled with a mass murderer, Prince Johnson, you think you can get a better Liberia? Let us all stand up in great readiness and vote against the Bwaka Kun ticket. It doesn't mean well for our country. I want to thank you. I will be using my phone in the car while I'm driving and we'll follow the conversation. Thank you for the first session. I'll stay in tune. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I always when I think about, wow, great and firing discussion so far, man. When I think about work, right? I always think about labor work. I always think about what Margaret Main said. She said, "I learned the value of hard work by working hard." You cannot substitute the value of hard work. And some of us were blessed. Our parents worked in a nursing home for a very long time because my mother was a hard worker. Anyone who knows me from Accra knows that, we live in a nice house in Accra. Went to a great elementary school. I helped a lot of people, man, when I had a little bit of pocket change, because every time I pick up that phone to call mama, I don't care if I sounded like I wasn't feeling to work, money will come. And so the value of hard work, it cannot be insulted. It cannot be underestimated. There's no other way but hard work. And to see people try to denigrate that concept of hard work, that principle of hard work, speaks to themselves. How many jobs have they worked themselves? How many jobs have they worked? I don't want to call the individual name here. I'm not going to give him the attention he does not deserve. But how many professional jobs have the young man actually held? My first job was out of high school. I remember my parents used to tell me, "You can't work because we want you to get a scholarship when you graduate high school." So we never worked, but there was a benefit that came with that. We went to New York, got shopping done. When I graduated high school, though, in college, my first job was at the Intercontinental Group. This is where I really fell in love with the hotel industry, right? That was my first job. But I worked. I paid for my own dormitory. I paid my own bills because of hard work. Even if the man is working and cleaning poo-poo,
Even as a custodian,
is he not earning an income? Is he not legally earning an income? There's nothing sinister about that. There's nothing to be, laughing at. He's legally earning money. He's taking care of his family to legal means. And I've seen people, when the economy went bad in 2007, I saw doctors that reported to me. I respect men and women who are willing, under the circumstance, to do what they need to do legally to support and sustain their families. These are people we should celebrate. These are people we should celebrate. I mean, people don't have, this is not about ego. It's about, what can I do legally right now to celebrate my family? We are in a position that we find ourselves, as young as some of us are, because we worked for it. We worked hard. But God forbid I had to go somewhere and work and sustain my family. You think I would think about what Liberian people think about me, especially when I'm legally earning something to pay my rent and put food on the table for my family.
well, man,
Hard work cannot be substituted for scamming. Hard work cannot be substituted for shortcuts. Hard work cannot be substituted for overnight glorification. And these are the things that get people into the circumstances that people like Stantons are in right now. It's good to help people. There are decent men and women who work hard for their paycheck, but they're still helping people. They're still doing things that they need to do. And so to celebrate a scammer, a convicted fraudster, and then denigrate a man who's working and cleaning poo-poo and legally earning something, speaks to the character of the people. But look, I want us to talk a bit about the politics of insults. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. We got about 40, got about 39 more minutes for the show to end. At 6:40, we will be ending. But I wanted to talk about the politics of insults, man. That we cannot, disagree without being disagreeable. We cannot have these discussions civilly, respectfully, where people fiercely discuss the issues, policies, and which political party have the best policies, right? And we can still, call each other friends and still keep that mutual respect. There have been a lot of insult happening recently. I think today, the hearing talked about a threat made on the life of his son,
That's
a
one.
7-year-old kid. And I want to use this public podium to just condemn that. If you threaten the life of Heron Costa can defend his own. He's a big boy. He's a big boy. I don't want his anything to happen to anyone. I don't want anything to happen to Stanton. I don't want anything to happen to anyone, right? But if you threaten the life of these folks, they can defend themselves. But how do we separate politics, policy disagreements with personal insults, personal attacks, even crossing some lines when it comes to family involvement? What does a 7-year-old kid is disgusting for anyone to threaten the life of a 7-year-old kid that has nothing to do with his father's decision, has nothing to do with what his father is doing, but you're threatening his life. What are your take on that? We'll start with Sylvester.
It is very deeply concerning and unfortunate, and I think we need to categorically condemn it. And it is. I mean, those kind of information come to threaten a very innocent child. It is deeply unfortunate, and I think there should be no room whatsoever in this country. There's no level of politics should allow anyone to go that level. I do have my younger child is 10 years old, and on a serious note, I wouldn't even want no one dare try such as a unfortunate situation. It's unfortunate, right? So we cannot, and we should not allow ourselves to degenerate into those kind of a nonsensical attitude and behavior, if you will. But to come out and threaten, even to threaten, brother, even to threaten Costa or to threaten or something else, we should not allow it to come to the level of our politics. That is so terribly condescending, and I think we need to categorically, uprightly condemn those kind of action, these kind of belligerent threats coming all of those who be and counterproductive troublemakers will have to be outrightly condemned. And this is our politics and the space of our democracy. We should be very clear here whatsoever that this is the space for political contestation. We disagree, maybe, and this is the kind of a time. This is the time of the debate. You push your narrative, I push my narrative. We will now have to the electors. We have to come out now and do the justification as to which of the side that is more digestible in terms of getting them elected. The people will decide on that. But to come and say, trust me, Raul, that's why I always interact with most of the folks from the other end. I have good friends. I was just talking to, I call him an uncle, he called me nephew, Joseph Valai. He's a very close confidant in the Boaka camp. We have conversation together. We have drinks together. We sometimes sit and have very deep conversation. We are family. We all have family. So I said to him the last time, I said, there's no amount of politics that will ruin this relationship we've had over many, many years. And I won't allow it to extend. I always spoke to most of the folks. We were in Lofa the last time, was deeply concerned. There was a lady that didn't want to talk to me because she felt I was campaigning for Ambassador Weir. I was campaigning for the president. And I later on went to her and said, hey, listen, you don't have to like me, but you have to respect the decision I would take for our democracy, and I will respect yours. You came here, so we need to exercise some level of tolerance here, but to go to the level, because one of the things we need to speak against now, Robert, is some of us we witnessed and felt the serial crisis in this country, Lofa. We witnessed and felt it. We saw what happened in Lofa County, for instance. So there's no room whatsoever that we're going to encourage anybody in this country. And that's why I was very disappointed when I saw a lot of former warlords being re-elected in the legislature. I was terrified by that.
Yes.
that from the level of Model, Thomas Yaya Nimler for Grand Judas County, he got the Prince Johnson from the other end. I mean, I was terrified by that. It's quite unfortunate. We have to set some major example in this country by proving to folks that we are prepared to move on and protect this country democracy. Maybe. That is the worst thing anyone would do. That is very dangerous.
Oh.
Yeah, I think his internet.
Costa got it right to play his side. He got it right to play his side. Robert got it right to be an independent person. Lofa Jr. got it right to be very independent also. In terms of we all will now sit and we will just start post on all of the sides and then we move and take decision on those things. But I think we need to condemn those things, folks, for all over. The Brown home and the broad, all over. All over we should condemn it and we should protect. This is our common patrimony that we have. It's our common denominator, this country, this small 43,000 square mile country. It's all we have. We all will come here, we will enjoy ourselves, we will do everything, we will meet here, we'll go, or we'll come back here. Yes.
Lofa?
And in regards to this particular point of discussion, let me be emphatically clear on my position here. I'm one of those who rarely, it's rare that agree with Henry Costa. It's rare. Okay. But I want to say this, and I want to be very clear about this. I condemned the act of threatening an innocent child. It is shameful, and I think every Liberian, regardless of your political affiliation, based on what I believe in, what I stand for, I think all of us should condemn that nonsense. It's total nonsense. I am a father, and I'll tell you a short story. My son chose to get into wrestling. I went the first day to attend his wrestling competition. And the kid he was fighting with, the Caucasian kid, he slammed my son in the back, and I woke up so fast, I had to hold myself down. And I told my son right after that, I said, I'm not coming back to any of your competition. He said, but Dad, why? I said, no, because I don't know if I'm able to really hold myself. Because I literally woke up. And everybody out there, like dominant Caucasian audience, because you rarely see, minorities, black people participating in wrestling like that. So when I woke up, everybody looking at me like this. But I just tell you, all right? And again, it's just that feeling. So when I heard Costa speak today about his son, I think whoever is involved in this, I hope that Honorable Burkhardt will openly condemn and speak against this. But I am not hoping on anything more than a string of thread, because I doubt Honorable Burkhardt would do that. If he is the honorable man that we talk about, he referred to Henry Costa as his son, regardless of any political disagreement. When Henry Costa is making these kind of alarming allegations, whether it is truth or not, I think Honorable Burkhardt should openly condemn such a thing. But for years upon years, we have heard other things happen. We've heard people say other things that we believe Honorable Burkhardt would have done something about. We did not hear him say anything. But this has to do with a child. That little child had nothing to do with our politics. Just like our kids have nothing to do with our politics. I posted on my page the other day. Okay, just today, as a matter of fact, my daughter is running for governor of her school. And she sent me her video is on my page. And then I posted it. All right? She's being welcomed. And she's doing all the things. You know why? Because we try to put forth the example that these young people have to live by. So if Honorable Burkhardt, who is a stakeholder, and he's asking for the votes of Liberians, he must understand, regardless of who votes for him, if he is to become the president of Liberia, he will have to serve as that unifier. Okay? He will represent every Liberian and should represent every Liberian, regardless of how they feel about his presidency. Just like I would say to President George Weah, you must be that unifier. I don't hope that he will just ignore this right here. We're talking about a child, an innocent child, and this involves
a woman too who may have to go to bed and have a sleepless night because she's now worried what if her child goes to school, that child will be traced, threatened, and several other things will have to go after them. I, as a parent, I hate to have to find myself in this position because there may just be other things that I will have to pursue as an option to protect my child. It is sad, it is disgusting, and we should avoid this kind of behavior. Let us disagree and be able to sit at a table of brotherhood and still be able to break bread together as compared to threatening the lives of innocent kids. They are our future leaders, regardless of where they live or where they may have been born. Thank you.
Isaac, you want to chime in this?
Yeah, it. What I like to say is, I want to bring into proceeding Maya Angelou. She said there are people who can be aged, have advanced ages, but they have really not grown up. Yeah. Before I go to the thing, I want to say something quickly about the Martin begin with that. Martin is considering himself to be a man, all right? But he could be in the peerage of people like Bwaka Jaliba. Bwaka Jaliba has served his country as assistant minister. Peewee, that man could be maybe in Peewee peerage, but Peewee has served as assistant minister. Jacob Jala, assistant minister. Martin, had never held a national leadership position. He can't hold a mirror up to himself. He need me, my friend. Kamara. Kamara was minister, our deputy minister in that government. I spoke for that government. I was speaking over the head of Kamara. Correct? You bringing Kamara into proceeding. He has a master. I have a master. You bringing him into proceeding? What are you doing? They're picking here. He had left from being an activist to being a politician, a disastrous politician. More than that, he had turned himself into a comedy character. He played Joe on Facebook now. Who will take it seriously? But the issue that we are discussing is critically important. And the colleague there was trying to call on Bwaka. Brother, you look to Bwaka, you will look to Bwaka in vain. Bwaka is not a national leader. Bwaka demonstrated to us in recent times that he is not a national leader when he went to Lofa. As a result of the violence that erupted in Lofa, a CDC brother was murdered. His name is Momo. You know what Bwaka said under his breath? Even though Momo are kissing man, but you're not kissing man from here, so I will not condemn it. You can imagine that? You can imagine that? This is the Bwaka man. So don't look to Bwaka. Those are us who have elevated our humanity above our politics. We are the one that should stand up and condemn in the strongest term the violent threat against Costa's little boy. Don't look to Bwaka. The party will not do it. The fact they will be celebrating. Somebody asked me the other time, say, I said, Jackson, all the things CDC people did to you, you're talking nicely about it. I said, you know what? When CDC people were doing bad things to me, what did Bwaka say or do? Martin Luther King said, well, in the end, we'll remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friend. Bwaka kept quiet. In his quietude, he was celebrating. I said, Jackson made Ellen's son. And he was here talking for Ellen. One day, he talked from my office. Yeah, let's see deal with him. That was Bwaka's son, privately. I listened to the private conversation. I said, look at him, man. He said he won't be national leader. He is unfit. Bwaka is unfit to be national leader for our country. He will not talk for Costa's son because he believed Costa had done an unpardonable or committed an unpardonable sin against him. To tell the world that he is in ailing health. That's the sin that Bwaka will not forgive. Because Bwaka is hiding the medical report. If he were to put the medical report outside, no intelligent, earnest Liberian will vote for him. Because nobody will give you joy when you sick. Because they know, common sense will tell you, when the man is sick, he will not be able to be effective on the work. He will be in hospital all the time. Bwaka is desperate for the presidency because he believes that he will use the state money to take care of his private health. All along, for 45 years, he has leached on government cover. That's all he accustomed to. That's why he's desperate for the presidency. Prince Johnson will say it in a leak audio that the man is not well. Even his own vice running mate, Kun, leak audio or in a public audio circulated on Facebook and everywhere. Kun is denouncing and decrying Bwaka's help. The only reason why Kun there now, he pray that if Bwaka kicks the bucket, he will be the president. And I look at Kun and say, Kun, but you don't have the professional competence to lead our country. We lead our country to Kun, who just graduated from Cottington when Cottington was in abject decline. So, brother, that whole Unity Party batch, they will not condemn what Costa had reported. For them, Costa had committed an unpardonable sin, and I think they're wishing death upon him. These are the same people who say they won't run our country. Liberians who mean well. Open your eyes, reject Bwaka and Kun. They don't mean well. They don't mean well.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, look, I think that you guys, all of you guys spoke well on this issue. And I think that I would use this platform again to say, look, kids should be off the limit. Family should be off the limit. And to some extent, or to a large extent, personal attacks should be off the limits. You know, imagine if we spend more time talking about and fearlessly debating these issues, talking about healthcare reform, talking about infrastructure job growth, talking about private sector job growth, talking about education reform, talking about strategy to decentralize government so that it benefits the entire country and not just those in Morovia, right? Imagine if we were talking about the issues, the day-to-day issue, the daily, the bread and butter issues, right? That the Liberian people truly care about. Imagine they will be able to make decisions from an informed place, you know. And this whole attitude about, you know, and this is why we are where we are. And some of my friends from the party will not like it, but let's put this in perspective, Lofa. I mean, to be honest with you, when you use Heron Costa to, call Alice Cummings a fingerer, you didn't question what he said. You didn't think he was a liar, right? When you use Heron Costa to, go after your opponents, which benefited you directly, which was used as a strategy, you had enough. You had no. Everything was okay with you, right? You didn't threaten his son. You didn't threaten Heron Costa, right? You didn't call him a hustler. And even if you're calling him a hustler now, what does it say about you when you left in his kid, your old man, right? I mean, why would you leave in the care of a hustler, man? A man you don't want hurt, a man who, look, this man drove him around, used his personal vehicle, took him to, Derby and other places, cooked for him, and why would you leave, your old man in the hands of a character that you are now basically, telling us we shouldn't believe? What does that say about you? But let's talk about these issues, the issues that matters to the Liberian people. These are the issues we should be talking about. Every Liberian has a right to freely assemble. Every Liberian has a right to freely vote for who he or she chooses to vote for. That's their right. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like it at all. Just as much as you have the right to pick your side, every other Liberian under our constitution have similar right to do the same thing. If people should not question your patriotism for voting for Joseph Boakai, why are you questioning other people's patriotism for voting for George Weah? Why are you questioning other people and attacking and insulting other people and threatening the life of children, right? For deciding to do what you have exercised, your constitutional right. So this politics of insult, I think it's bad for our country. It put people in a box. And, I want to touch on something. Maybe you guys can come. When you look at these politicians and these political parties that are engaged in these folks and have put forth these conditions and these prerequisites, I think trust is an integral part of their decision making here. For many years in our country, we don't even believe in confidentiality. We don't believe in confidentiality. I have had conversations with people that I don't agree with politically, but I'll be damned. that conversation between them and I will remain just that. Okay, until otherwise order, right? But we don't believe in confidentiality. We have conversations, we do things, and then it goes out there because it's just out there, right? And so trust in leadership is very important. When a man can look at you and listen to what you are telling them and say, look, Lofa, I will do this. It's not just in leadership, as human beings, our words are all we have. Because when we speak, people believe and take us seriously. Our words are what we have. If people cannot believe you, if people cannot trust you, then how can they take you seriously? And so this politics of insult, I think we've got to stop it. Focus on the issue. That's what matters to our people. And respect people for making their choices. They have the constitutional right to do so. I said,
Robert, you strike a point, and let me say to you, brother, Unity Party will not be bothered about a policy debate because the party is bankrupt in ideas. The party is basically hemorrhaging talents, intellect. That's why they resorting to picking the mountain curry to be the spokesman and just writing comedy now on Facebook. Because if you're going to get in a policy debate, take for example, Mr. Bwaka. If Bwaka were to say to us, my government will create jobs, then we have to ask him the practical question. Mr. Bwaka, you were here for 12 years as vice president. How much job did you create or help your government to create in 4 years where you were born and grew up? He will not answer in the affirmative. He will not say anything convincing. So he doesn't want a policy conversation. Today, the people of Lofa County voted in sizable number against against Bwaka, is voted in sizable number in favor of what? CDC. Sizable number of people in Lofa County voted in favor of CDC. Why? Because they have said in very clear language that they prioritize development over tribalism. They say, Bwaka, all the tribalistic tendency that you got, every day travel, what have you done for us? Just CDC have been here for 5 years plus. See how much development they brought. Development oozing all over Lofa. So they voted for development. Bwaka and his desiccated Unity Party people were not engaged in policy dialogue. Because when you say this, we say, oh, but Bwaka, you're here 12 years. Give one example now. The other time somebody calls, say, oh, the CDC people, the security not good, and this, that, and the rest of it. I said, but brother, you see this, you Unity Party, is the security not good? And you in league with Prince Johnson. How can you be in league with Prince Johnson? And you say, oh, CDC people care people. Oh, you know how many people Prince Johnson care in that country, brother? And you're engaging in polite conversation? If you really talk concern about security, Prince Johnson should not come anywhere close to power or close to any polite conversation. It should not be entertained. So how are you talking security? I said, every government has challenges. Even in our own government, where I serve as deputy minister, there was an issue of Michael Addison, but we investigated, we move on. In my own government, there was an issue of what Harry Green. We investigated, we move on. So why are you hanking on all security like this? But you can't be concerned about security and you be comfortable with Prince Johnson and you're comfortable with butt naked. Liberian people, I beg you, in the name of God, let's give President Weah a second chance. Whatever mistake he might have made, even in the security arena, he will improve upon that. Wherever there were challenges, he will improve. And those areas that he did good, he will make better. Let's give him a second chance. We have seen Bwaka before. 12 years he was vice president. He takes no blame for anything that happened in the Unity Party government. The first rule of leadership is what? Taking responsibility. Bwaka tried desperately to exculpate himself from all the excesses of the Sali administration. He tried to absorb himself from all the blame. Oh, everything he blamed on Ellie. That's why when he went to go visit Ellie on her birthday, the old man looked at him and said, what a man can do here? And you bring Kun behind you
You bring, he said, man, look at him and say, what you doing here? You get 17 layers of grievances against me. Then on top of that, you bring Kun behind you. You really think Kun can protect my legacy and the legacy of Dr. Edward B. Kessely? Prince Johnson protege, Prince Johnson God's son, that the one we leave behind with our unity party and our government. And then just looking at the paper and just shaking your head in disgust. But this is where we are, brother. This
Yes,
is where we are.
thank you. Dr. Peabody, come in.
Man, you guys are doing a wonderful job. I must commend you guys. You guys are doing an awesome job. I think all that is said here today. I just want to chime in regarding Costa little son. I think that's sick. That is just sickening to hear about them trying to go after his son and try to do things to his 7 year old. I think somebody who does not have a child, who does not know the importance of raising children, who does not even know the value of a child, will try to even go after a child because of the dad. And all of you said it. Isaac said it when Costa was with y'all, you regarded him as a hero. They were calling him this and that. The man made a decision. Why not respect it? He said, I don't want to be with you no more. I think President Leah would be the right person to lead the country at this time. Y'all kind of got him upset. Y'all did things to him after he made sacrifices. I went to Costa home many times. We went there when VP Barker came, when they rented the Airbnb and other places. We were there. It's just that you don't want to say all, but we were there. And Costa, because of the old man diet, Costa made sure that he prepared the food because he wanted to make sure that he was fishing the right food and everything. He drove him everywhere, churches and everywhere he drove him. Now today he's not a. Today you're calling him name and threatening his child. I think it's sickening. It's sad. People need to go back. That we all can agree and disagree. It doesn't mean that we're enemies. He doesn't want you. He doesn't want to be part of. Why you can respect that? That I don't want to be your friend and stuff like that. So and also it's so good to have Honorable Jackson on today. Expressing. I just wanted to chime into what Ms. Jackson said. When I came to the place the first time, I work in the cafeteria to the school. I used to wash dishes. I used to wake up 12 o'clock in the morning when all my other classmates were in the bed sleeping to come prepare breakfast for them and make pay. And sometimes when they even washing the dishes, when they finish eating, they'll come and they make sure to put shahid on that. That's something in the cafeteria and greet me. I'll be there doing my work. So everybody comes to this place to start from somewhere. But the thing is, when you get your pay, it's not written on the washing dishes. Or your check doesn't say pay to the other or washing dishes. But I think we need to just be careful. And you calling somebody, say the cleaning people, most of the people who doing it are supporting your parties. They sending
Right.
your money, everything, stuff like that. You know what group of people you have a whole group of people upset. There are a group of people upset who support you as well. You have really offset them in a way because it's the same money that is sent to support you guys, same money that's sent to help you every day, and you go and say those kind of things. So I'm glad Mr. Jackson was able to come up and shed light on it. But guys, I can't tell you how proud I am of you guys. You guys doing a wonderful show, man. I think you guys made me jealous now. That's why I keep jumping back on.
Robert won't take your job from you.
You must do. I'm a threat now. You must do everything to. How I remember. But look, it's been a fascinating show. We have 10 more minutes left, and I want us to talk about one last thing. By the way, I work in the hotel industry, and I work for international, one of the biggest brands. And I tell you, man, I've one of some of our biggest chefs, our executive chefs. These guys make close to $150,000 annually. Most of them did not go to school, didn't go to culinary school. I went to culinary school, even though I've never worked in a commercial kitchen before. I have had my own catering company, but I went to culinary school, and I have a degree in culinary arts. And most of these chefs started as dishwashers. Most of them started as dishwashers, and then they went over to line cook, and then they went to prep cook, and then they became sous chefs, and then they became executive chefs. The starting point in every profession, for that matter, goes a long way. And in this country, and in most of our luxurious brand hotels, you won't believe this. We have a dishwasher manager. I can tell you right now, they probably make more money than some of what your deputy ministers make
Exactly.
annually, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And so let's stop this. Stop this. Exposure is very important. And I have a small crew back home. I've kept this crew with me for the past 12 years. These are guys that I trust with my life, and they handle all my businesses back home. And I tell them all the time, America is not, it's not what you think it is, right? It's about people who are willing to take risk. It's about people who are determined and people who are hardworking. Because when and if you are hardworking, doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're doing it legally, you can live the American dream. So, my brother Attorney Jackson, look, I had a doctor in 2010 who was my supervisor at the when I did rooms operation. A doctor, well educated man, and he was doing it for 3 months before he had something else. Even though I was a little skeptical when we saw his resume, I was like, a doctor? Does he work for a union? I was very, very skeptical, right? He was overqualified, but it was a circumstance and a moment in time where he needed to do something to transition. So it doesn't matter what you do, it's what you do legally and what you love doing to support your family. That's what matters. But we got 7 minutes left. I will give each of us at least a minute and a half to talk about. Let's close the argument today on the runoff. We have 13 days to the runoff, and let's talk about momentum. I mean, who do you think have the momentum right now going into these runoff? Campaign stops on the 12th, and so momentum is very important. We've seen endorsement comes come. We got major endorsement to come. I hope and CPP will make their announcements pretty soon. But for right now, based on endorsements, based on everything that has happened, who do you think have the momentum going into these runoff? I will start with Lofa, and then we'll go to Sylvester.
Um, Truly speaking, this I really haven't been following this issue of momentum. The reason why I haven't been trying to dive into that aspect of our politics is because I think it play a major role in just overshadowing the actual issue. There are a lot of things that we need to start to focus on, like we started talking about, you know, the problems we have at hand. Who is ready and available to tackle corruption? Who is ready to prosecute people for their contribution to all of the Hindus that took place during our own civil war? Who is ready to transform our academic system? Who is ready to do it on the day of the presidency or upon their return? These are the things I am really hoping, or I was really hoping to hear, but I'm not hearing these things. All I hear is I mean, divided group of political parties that have people running from one end because of the mere fact that they are insincere to themselves and, of course, to the partisans who, of course, believe in their leadership. I wish that these people would be honest. I saw today where CDC, all right, CDC had an endorsement made by the youth wing of ACO. Tomorrow, I guess we are promised to hear that ACO executive, they're going to endorse the Unity Party. God, what is it? Like we asked a question yesterday. What are you basing your endorsement on? What are we to benefit? I don't have to be a member of ACO for you to tell me what we stand to benefit as Liberians. Unfortunately, we are not seeing that from both sides. And I said the same thing to even CPP and other political parties that are just in the race at this point, just based on whether it is just a name or recognition. I think we need to put the people interest first. Okay, government is service oriented, and we must take these things into consideration. I am not about your momentum. I am not about the crowd politics. I want something done for Liberian, and I don't see any one of these political party right now readily available to take on the mantle of authority and deliver upon the ascendancy to that position that they're asking to be hired for. Until I can hear people argue based on issues and substance, I don't think this is where and how we should continue to move Liberia forward. We need transformation, and we must do it the right way. Thank you.
Thank you. So, guys, let's consider this to be our closing. Let's also be particular about the time. We got 4 more minutes left. So, Sylvester, then I'll go to Attorney Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Robert. quite frankly, it's open. The momentum, the enthusiasm is all reverberating around Mr. President campaign. I think most of our electorates, most of the political leaders from all of the political parties now gravitating towards the president in numbers. So yeah, in terms of the morale, the enthusiasm is usually there. But again, yes, what the president said after when he spoke to a very proactive and warm partisan sometime last week at the party headquarters. The president now move on intensively to say to them, this is what I'm going to do in the second term. One of the things, Julius, the president said, he talked about reconciliation. He's going to push the process of reconciling this country because how polarized and deeply divided we are currently. He pushed about reconciliation. He said there's going to be no volunteer teachers again in this country. Immediate from January next year, there's going to be no volunteer teacher in the Republic of Liberia. He's going to push to legislate this issue of a wired payment now. He's going to push for that. That's going to be part of the presidential legislative plan that he's going to push to the Minister of State for our portfolio to the legislature. He's also going to show that we will also increase health workers and doctors' salary to the level it is. He said, now they need to be pushed to more. So, and he also pushed quickly, before I can conclude here, the president said he will ensure in his second term that Monrovia will be connected to all of the county's capital city. So he's pushing the line and he's very clear with those things. So I think that's why I'm very excited to be part of the team to get this job finished and put the president back to work.
Thank you.
This president will have to complete what he started. And we are all moving on that. People from all over the country will be part of this issue. I will visit with my former boss quickly this weekend to Grand Bassa County. I'm going to Isaac Jackson Bassa land. So
Thank you.
To be with the people of Bassa and do something for Burns.
Thank you,
guys,
Sylvester. Thank you. Isaac?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a good show, and I want to thank the audience for following. To be honest, any earnest observer will say that the momentum is on the side of the CDC. Why do I say so? The first thing is the CDC has just received 2 critical endorsements for 2 of the outstanding communicators in the country. You can say anything you lie about me. You can't say Isaac Jackson can explain himself properly. I can explain myself properly. That's why I elevated Liberia at the IMO. That's why I serve as Deputy Information Minister with an unparalleled distinction. So I have just endorsed President Weah. My friend Costa, how can you minimize Costa's eloquence? He's going to use it to promote Weah. In the United Party camp, you heard Brother Yeke venting out his frustration that these people, they have no leadership skill. If I say, bro, because I want break my society vow, I'm going to my wife, I will stay there until the eve of the election if I can, and I'm interested. Mind you, Yaka must have brought some people from different counties or different districts to register in his district to be for his support. If he doesn't go back to bring no people to help me, the United Party will be losing no votes. Correct? So United Party is finished. It's toast. But the other thing about even the what the brother just said about ACO, it confirms something that I have told with, and I think Liberians should take it into consideration. The country is youth based. It's youth driven. If the young people in ACO say we go to CDC, and the older people who are executive members say we go to Bwaka, what does it say? Yes. It said that Bwaka government will be run by people in his age group. Old people will be running things. Young people, if you get Liberia at heart and you want to move the country forward, stand with a relatively younger president. We are. That's where the young people interest will be secure. When you go on Bwagasa, so old faces, you will see some of the failed vestiges of our country. They will resurface. Don't allow a vote against Bwaka. Young people, let's stand up, and everybody, let's stand up and give Weah a second term. He deserves it to improve upon some of the mistakes and to make better some of those things he's already done. I thank you for having me, and I look forward to being here tomorrow.
Thank you. So, Dr. Peabody, I know that the students.
Yeah, I'll just cut it up. Okay, I'll just cut it in 1 minute. What I would say here, I see one side that is going after personal things, attacking people personally, and they're not going after the issue. The time they spend on social media to be going after Costa and insulting other people, they could be sending a message out there that shows that, hey, this is what we believe. But I think the momentum I'm saying is only from CDC because they are gaining the endorsement, like Arthur Jackson said. You got the young people. The young people are the future leaders of that country, and there are many, But I think CDC momentum is very, very high compared to that of UPP. UPP are doing the same thing they did with Mr. Cumming when they started the whole finger document thing. That's what they're doing right now, going after other people attacking it. They're not trying to get votes, but they go after personal attack on people. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. In my closing argument, let me just say I appreciate the closing argument for giving me the opportunity to host
And you
today.
guys did a great
Thank you,
job, man.
Peabody's,
Great job.
Tomalin's, George, and everyone else. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Thanks to Truth FM 96.1, Hot FM 107.9, and all of the other radio stations that are carrying us across the country. We are one people, irrespective of what happens come November 14th. We have one country, we are one people, and we must unite. We must unite together to move our country forward. There is hope. There is hope. It's all in our mindset, it's all in our attitude, and it's in the way we carry ourselves. So let's go out there, exercise your right, vote your candidate of choice, and at the end of the day, Liberia, peace, unity must prevail. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for watching with us, all of our audience, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Good job, guys. Thank you so much, guys.
Happy
You guys did
birthday to Joella Love Wallace. Enjoy your birthday, Mama.
Thank you.
Henry, thank you so much, Henry. Take it down, brother. Thank you.
On that note, this is how we'll let call your day. Let me say many thanks there to the panelists for making their case, for bringing all of these great lessons. Let me say many thanks to the guy there, Hadafen 107.9 and Chupafane, Nimas County Secretariat 106.9 for relaying the closing argument and other 36 radio stations for also carrying the closing argument. So my name is Henry Jara or Ada Butler who've been here. Let me say many thanks to the technical team here at the Renaissance Communication as well. So we'll catch you on tomorrow. We'll say bye from our end. Good night.